Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ninja Turtles, the next mutation reactions. I am Fred. If you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you found us. If you are a returning viewer, well, I'm glad that you're back. Today we will be, I will be watching and going through East Meets West Part 3, the openings. We are reaching like the midpoint of the opening saga of the next mutation series. And in the last video, which we all saw last week, but for me was I recorded it yesterday. Funny, it was like I produce things in so far in advance. You would think I would have a Patreon or something, but no, I don't know why I don't go that route. But that aside, I had a question that I asked myself. I did a little bit of research on it regarding who owns Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. And it turns out that the ownership of a lot of things Ninja Turtles related is a lot more complicated than it seems. Um, because that 2003 series was uh part of that was owned by like Four Kids Entertainment, and there was like a massive like $10 million buyout for that series to Four Kids, just to wait for them to like waive their rights to anything Ninja Turtles related. But as it relates to Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, apparently Saban Entertainment, they own the rights and everything associated to with the Next Mutation series. So which actually raises a whole separate question. Could the Next Mutation series be revived in some shape, way, or form without the needs of anything Paramount related? It's like with all the concepts and stuff that are introduced and used in the show. Like Saban Entertainment essentially could, create their own version of Ninja Turtles just based off like, okay, we own this series, we're just continuing it down the road. Obviously, like Laird and Eastman would still get like their checks and royalties and stuff, at least one would assume. But Paramount, Viacom, Nickelodeon, they would have like no say in the series in a continuation. So with that said, it kind of explains why with that Turtles Forever series, why Next Mutation was not not have any type of on-screen representation when the whole Turtleverse thing was shown. This is just a theory based on what little research I was able to do. Anyway, and again, as I jokingly say, you wonder why I kind of label this as a podcast, because you get more than just the reaction stuff. You get like any thoughts and stuff that I have. Um, I'm going to be kind of real interested in seeing going forward for the rest of the series how much the use of cartoony sound effects is going to be played in, because that was kind of like the big issue I took away from part two, East Meets West Part Two. As I think back on it, the I get it. It's like when if it's live action Ninja Turtles, it was like really seen as a cartoon and comic books and toys, but now it's a live action series and the need for cartoony sound effects to I guess downplay the violence of sorts. But it's really weird. Like I'm hoping that those sound effects don't really become an issue, because that's that's really the one big problem I had with part two. Um, in addition to like not in addition, but how they basically wrote off Shredder. Like how do you get away with having Shredder as your prominent villain? Is that you have Venus de Milo's like make him look at himself, the younger version of himself, getting deep into his psyche with the shinobi mysticism and such. By the way, Logitech, we need to have a serious talk with just how terrible the wire cords for your headsets are. Anyway, as we're going to dive into the episode 3, and for those who are just jumping on board with this reaction series, you don't hear any audio from the show. You got the visual representation here, so you kind of get an idea of as soon as I begin the episode, so you can follow along with your own copy of it, and so you know exactly what I'm referring to at any given time. Hence why this is heavily blurred and got the text overlay on it, mostly to avoid DMCA issues, but also because I don't tend to I run my mouth constantly. Um, especially, but with that said, we are going to get into it. And at the very least, it's going to begin with a recap. The nightmare fuel that is Splinter. They want to make sure Splinter is front and center in a lot of these shots, don't they? Wait, that's right. Venus's name is Mei Pei Chi. There she is dubbed Venus de Milo. And since it's probably the last time I can probably joke about it, why? Why didn't they give Shredder a cape with his costume? Probably to legally differentiate, separate his design from the cartoon design. But regardless, the intro theme, I haven't really commented, is really catchy. Has a nice beat to it. Hey, more stock footage of New York. And candles. Plenty of candles. You know, mysticism is involved when you have candles all over the damn place. Why is Michelangelo is stroking his head as if he's trying to put hair back in place? Boy, the turtles have like no concentration or mental discipline. At least Leo is at least trying, taking things seriously. But the other, but it's kind of interesting at the same way here. The trying to get like the spirit walking, spirit training. It's like Splinter like trained the body, but considering that Splinter was like with training and like had this spirit walking meditation thing, it's like why didn't he really put this training into these versions of the turtles? Obviously, it's to give Venus more of a thing, and a purpose, of course. And more stock footage of New York, like Joe's Pizza. But but the reason why I'm questioning it to a degree is that in the first movie you had the big meditation scene and with like basically the spirit walking stuff that the is essentially a big gimmick point here. Dreamwalking, what they kind of flipped the phrasing on this numerous times. Wait, did they give Leonardo a different headpiece here that's covering more of his head, or did I not notice? I could have sworn in episode 2 that the top of Leo's head was exposed. They, nice flexibility there with some backflipping from Leonardo. Venus actually questioning like how the hell did these guys master their ninja disciplines is questionable at best here. Wait, this is their mental discipline. Is like where they let themselves go. Is it's how they focus is when they're training. Now, if I wasn't, they made a point of Donatello's bow staff actually be having an extending function there. Serenity now, Michelangelo. Serenity now. Yeah, Leo does have two swords, but it's a nice display here of their of the flexibility of those costumes and suits. I know redundant term saying costumes and suits there, but what Raphael is was literally doing a handstand with the sai. But this is actually clever of using them focusing on the task at hand and her being like the controlling point. Like it's a real smart way of uh of like bringing this plot point together. I am kind of curious though how heavy were those suits? I think like the suits in the 1990 film were rather notorious for causing a lot of dehydration, dudes passing out during the filming of it. And but there's something about the show that has not aged well is obviously the special effects. Certainly a Windows screensaver there, or visuals that were I would. I would say they're a bit above PlayStation One quality CGI, just barely. Like PlayStation One, PlayStation Two era is there, and we get to see the Dragon Lord fully for the first time. The grunts need a little work there, but the Dragon Lord himself getting a good look visual there. It's pretty. It's a pretty wicked design. Nice helmet. He has a nice helmet too, and the voice is actually quite nice. He has a nice little suave and sophistication to it. Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. I'm sorry, just that reference there. And if you're wondering what lines are being said, little puppet on the Dragon Lord's shoulder is a bit ridiculous. You can imagine there's somebody just standing behind him during the filming of it. It's like this holding the puppet up there. Kind of like how like Kevin Clash held like Baby Sinclair up behind like Earl during the filming of Dinosaurs. Yes, I've seen dinosaurs. I am that old. Baloney? Hmm. Suddenly I want a sandwich. These turtles don't run. Oh, the little guy's named Wick. And I will say this because of the CGI and the framing of it, there was a brief moment of clearly something wasn't lined up well with the top of the screen, but it's very, very brief, very subtle, and very easy to. Well, they got Splinter back, but Splinter is also liberated as well. But 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 damn, it's night. It's Splinter is just pure nightmare fuel. Please stop putting him center on camera when he's talking. It's the most disturbing visual here. Wait a second. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, they are acknowledging at least a passage of time, even if it doesn't totally, even if it doesn't totally make sense at times, or at least they're acknowledging a gap of time. There's a turtle of energy. That's a nice nickname. I am totally digging. Again, I mentioned it in the previous video that Venus's mask having being in a braid is really really a nice trait there. Give her a sense of hair. All right, so Splinter didn't see her, and that she just floated away. Also, a different stuff I have to comment on it that I should have said last week or in the last video is that Venus, in terms of her mask design, is obviously the most traditional looking. If you think of it in terms of like the '87 Turtles, her mask is certainly matches that visual type. With Michelangelo's kind, like Michelangelo's has some like Fukuyama Gishi levels of cooking at times. Like it seems like it'll be delicious, but at the same time, it will put you in a hospital. Wow, them jumping out of the Dragon Lord and his minions coming through that portal onto the rooftop, you could hear they were land. They were stepping onto a sound stage. Dragon Lord seems to have like a nice vibe with Wick. It's like we're picking him up, putting him up where he can sit on top of a what the hell do you call that? Or at least the other than the fact like a very convenient piece of pedestal to hide the hand puppetry. They're gonna claim a building for themselves. May I suggest the Towers of Twins, which were still standing at the time this series was on the air. Or they found some place that looks quite similar to Rita Repulsa's castle in the first season of Power Rangers, or which is actually the Foot Clan's. Oh no, it's not the Foot Clan's uh base. It's a straight up abandoned building. Oh, they found a dog. Wicked's gonna he wants to eat the dog. The little poodle, cute. Okay, like it smells. The dog smells like perfumed ham. Huh. I'm not sure if I'm digging the designs for the minions as much. They are a step up over the Foot Clans, being of course being remnants of like the live action films, but there's clearly not much of a budget for the Dragon Lord minions in comparison to like what we see on Power Rangers in numerous series. Turtles having picnics in the park, but that's a hell of a lot of food. What type of eggs are they? Oh, they're pigeon eggs. They're eating pigeon eggs. Why? It's like trying new and exciting foods. You clearly they have ate Michelangelo's cooking for who knows how long. All right, the first big hand-to-hand like duel between the Dragon Lord's forces and the turtles. Like they found them in the park. Goodness gracious! Again, Splinter. It's like stop showing stop. Were they really? Were they proud of the Splinter headpiece and anime and how it looked because with how many close-up shots we get with him? Wick at least was able to identify pigeon eggs. Okay, so Wick appreciates Venus's cooking. Oh wait, the Dragonlord wants the mutation. Oh, he's interested in their mutations. Okay, that's kind of an interesting plot line. I didn't even make an effort to show Wick eating something. It's like, okay, so the puppetry with Wick is not as good as it seems. All right, it's showing Splinter's a master with how he got around. He's if oh, Splinter's being captured again. Okay, all right. Some more comedic sound effects are being used, which yeah, is kind of taken away from it. But the comedic sound effects are not helping. It's actually ruining this the fight scene. I'm saying that because they have like normal punching and kick sound effects going on here, stuff that you would normally use. Why is she using a tether ball? Okay, never mind. Never mind. Uh, there is a kind of bit of an early inconsistency with Venus in terms of her using like popular phrases or like how the hell is he sliding with that much they just sent Donatello. I can take on Donatello and them spinning on the back in a circle wheel of fortune format as Wick exists, but then bowling him across the grass, that's a bit too silly. And stepping on Splinter, it's like stop showing close up of Splinter, please. It's like Turtles. If they're giving him no choice, he's using she's using her shinobi mysticism to lift the Dragon Lord's foot so they can get off Splinter out of there. Wonderful use of that. Turtles vanish by having this Leonardo just step off camera to the right. But the Turtles taking a bit of a loss. They're at least presenting the Dragon Lord and his minions as being a somewhat capable threat. Threat. Words. How much iodine is she tabbing on Donatello? Doesn't really have any cuts or noticeable cuts on him. Surviving is not losing, but it's not winning either. And they're not good enough. They're good enough to handle the foot. And goodness gracious, if they don't stop giving the Splinter close-ups, they literally have him walking right up into the camera where you can almost see into the mouthpiece. They need to stop that. Why am I saying that was a show that's like over 20 years old? Meanwhile, back on the soundstage with the New York skyline, wow, you can actually see the vine of the set piece of like whatever mural thing that they were putting in there to create the the skyline on this set. And the reason why I said it is like it was a clear straight line running across like the top portion of it. Dragonlord wants to eat a mutant for his first meal? Dude, it's gonna be hungry. But it's a nice way for a cliffhanger. Them him saying presenting him as a clearer threat. All right. Altogether, a good episode that kind of well that more than establishes how dangerous the Dragon Lord is, how cunning he is, how suave he sounds. Wick is certainly kind of interesting. Is like with the puppetry with him, and it's like he Wick is certainly the sidekick. He's supposed to be there for like the comic relief, but it's I don't think Wick as a character held up particularly well. And if anything, his presence might undermine the seriousness that comes with the Dragon Lord. This is again my opinion of it. Like obviously, 20 some odd. Let's see, 1997. So we're talking. No, it's like over 20 years ago. It's like no, wait, we're closing in on 30 years. It's like boy, I can't do math at times as I really think about it. Um, the rescue of Splinter goes according to like a plan for the Dragon Lord. It's like, okay, yeah, the turtles and Venus were going to be the key for the Dragon Lord escaping from the dream realm, and it worked out perfectly for him. That yeah, he took advantage of a clear situation. I really enjoyed the the whole scene with Venus, like realizing how the Lil Raph, Mike, and Donnie like focuses their spirit is it is through their training. They don't have that ability to sit still, to do like the meditations necessary to have entered the dream walking state. But which again I find odd that's the case when you go back and look at when you look at the 1990 film in the big scene when they go up to the farmhouse and they're out. Leonardo's meditating in that movie, and then he hears Splinter, and he realizes that Splinter's alive in the interrupts the Trivial Pursuit game, and to go back out and around the campfire, get the big message from Splinter. Like, wait a second, the turtles can have that meditation and focus, but the reason why, at least in the continuity of this show, is actually to establish that this is something that more like Venus is specializes in, and to elevate the mysticism association with her upbringing. It does also address, like, okay, it's like, if she was in the jar, how come Splinter didn't notice her? She got washed away before he did notice her and ended up in Chinatown, which is a fine way to uh explain that. And it doesn't break any canon. It's like, okay, there was something else in the jar. And if you really want to stress things on, like, on things breaking canon with it, let's keep in mind that that Eastman and Laird created, like, the origin of the turtles is essentially tied to Daredevil being blinded. It's like the kid that was carrying the turtles in the jar, in the bowl, what was Matt Murdock, and that the ooze that mutated them is also the ooze that blinded Matt. Okay, so let's just realize this, how idiotic the canon origins of the turtles can be based on what Eastman and Laird put together. Granted, they couldn't really use Matt Murdock, and but at least the references and stuff were there. It was like the tied in certain events. Um, uh, the fight scene, the first big confrontation between the turtles and the Dragon Lord's forces, is undermined by the cartoony special effects, and it's really noticeable when you're actually hearing, like, the sound effects for, like, punches connecting. Like, why having the why use the cartoony effects in relation to the more heavy punches and stuff? Is like, did they not have the confidence in the show, or were they doubt worried around any parental television groups? Because again, this was like 1997 when this show premiered, and Power Rangers, again, at this point, you would have had 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin Zero and Turbo. So 5 season totals of the Power Rangers franchise in general, being a live action show with a lot of action and combat, and it is the big reason for the sound effect issue, tied to the fact that tied to, and I said it at the beginning, is it tied to the fact of the turtles being prominently known as cartoon characters, even though there was like 3 films where, and even in the lighthearted Secret of the Ooze, they didn't use any cartoony sound effects, and certainly not in the third film, and absolutely not in the first film. And the reason why I went in that order is, like, tonally, the second and third film are close, at least with the turtles' personalities to some degree, are more in line with the second and third films than it is the first film. Regardless, we are 3 episodes in. I mean, I enjoyed the episode. Again, it's amazing, like, how much I get to talk about and how much I get to repeat myself as we discuss things. Oh, one more thing is, like, the how can you tell they were, like, literally stepping through a portal or stepping on the sound stage? How could I tell that? It was just like the way the foot impacts. It's like it definitely felt more. It sounded like they were stepping, like, on water. And when you hear, like, if you're like me and you watch a lot of stuff with headphones, do a lot of stuff with hair, wearing headphones and earbuds and whatnot, tend to get used to certain sounds of how things like people are stepping on certain types of material, and it just sounded like, yeah, that certainly doesn't sound like what you would expect a rooftop sound like, unless they were stepping on top of a building that had, for whatever reason, a wooden roof that was that flat. Then again, I know nothing about construction, but the other giveaway when the Dragon Lords come to the portal and stuff that was on the soundstage, other than the obvious, was that you could actually see on the New York skyline. There was actually a device for like whatever panels and stuff they did for like the mural to show the New York skyline in the background. Alrighty, so we'll wrap this up here as we and his question is like, what do I do record all of these episodes in like 26 consecutive days? Or 28, considering that the two Power Rangers in Space episodes that must be watched at some point in time. We we shall see. I doubt it because I got things to do during the days, but hopefully we can get a lot of this recorded in a long way, and maybe I can start pre-work on like another series uh at some point. But to keep things rolling. Constant content. We try to have recurring content for you folks. Anyway, tighten your friendship bracelet, stay safe, have a good one. Like, comment, subscribe if you're so inclined. And if you do want to help support the channel, keep the lights on and everything, there is a PayPal link in the description below. If you want to toss a few bucks my way, we'll greatly appreciate it. You don't have to, but hey, bury it here at the very end. Anyway, catch you next time, folks. Bye.